What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, we're finally here to talk about Kizuna KOALA. A little bit of drama happened as soon as news time came around, is when we actually went to the adventure menu, we actually weren't able to access the Kizuna Clash. It was very bizarre, but, you know, 2.5 hours later, they were able to fix the issue, and now we can actually play the Kizuna Clash. Prior to that, though, you can actually come over to the extra island and check out the assistance quest, where you can farm up this Ivankov, which gives you 1.1 times ticket bonus in this Kizuna Clash. So if you want to get just a little bit more tickets, you can go ahead and pick up this this Ivankov. This Ivankov is okay, so you can go ahead and do that. So just make sure to do it if you want to get a ticket bonus. Now, in today's video, I have both free-to-play teams and also my own personal teams that are up against this Kizuna Clash, and there should be timestamps down below on the video timeline and in the video description to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on that. But before we get into the actual Kizuna Clash video, I want to go ahead and talk about the exchange. I actually haven't had a look at the exchange shop yet, so this will be a first for me as well. The image there looks a little weird. I don't know why it zoomed in so much, but let's have a look. So first box, you can get a copy of the KOALA. Don't worry about picking up too many copies, because if you're playing the Kizuna Clash a lot, you're going to be getting copies along the way, just by dropping them. So it's not that big of a deal, but hey, you can pick them up there. You've got special rare recruits as well. Box 3, okay, this is the big one right here. We want to get the copies of the Marco and Ace materials, because in this specific Kizuna Clash is going to be like the first time where people will be able to have them completely maxed out a lot easier. Technically speaking, you were able to get them in the previous Kizuna Clash with Sulong Carrot, but you can only get them on box 7. It was extremely difficult to max the character out, so you can actually get all the materials here. It looks like, yes, you can. Awesome. So you can max out the character just by getting to box 6. And then box 7, let's have a look. There's 1,000 items there, which is a little scary, but we have 5 of each tablet. Okay, that's actually pretty good. I like that. That's not too shabby at all. And we've also got the ultimate bonds as well. Actually, were there rumble scrolls in here? I have a feeling there probably isn't. Yeah, because this specific Kizuna Clash was supposed to come out when Nami and Robin first came out, and Pudding. So it makes sense as to why, you know, the structure of this Kizuna Clash exchange does not have the rumble scrolls, unfortunately. So yeah, there you go. Make sure to go ahead and get the copies of Marco and Ace. But also, before we go ahead and get into it, let's actually talk about this Kizuna Clash KOALA. Now, you actually don't need specific limit break materials to max her out. She actually just takes normal materials, which is a little strange. But Kizuna KOALA, her captain effect is a 3 times attack boost to fighter and free spirit, so nothing too crazy. Her special ability, which will go down to a 12-turn cooldown, it appears, will go ahead and deal 20 times her attack and side damage to a single enemy, changes all slots including block into matching, and if the captain is either fighter or free spirit, doubles damage dealt against enemies affected with defense down for 1 turn. That's a really good special ability to have, especially when it goes down to like a 12-turn cooldown, dude. That's so good. So if you have some other type of character that can reduce the enemy's defense, you know, getting a 2 times conditional boost and a full board of matching orbs is insane. If you have the brand new Kizuna Clash limited rare recruit Bello Betty, there is a really nice tandem combination with those. Well, not like a tandem mechanic, but I believe the support ability of Bello Betty attaches to this KOALA, which can reduce the enemy defense. So it can be like a self-proccing defense down unit, which is really good. Crewmate abilities, 50 base stats to fighter free spirit, and then fighter character size slots are counted as beneficial. And then a support effect to any fighter character, 8% base stats. So there you go. This unit is honestly pretty good, but the main draw to this Kizuna Clash is going to be able to max out the big Kizuna character in Marco and Ace for the first time for many people out there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the Kizuna Clash versus KOALA. Alright, so getting into things, first of all, we've got the INT Variation, and of course we're going to be starting off with our free-to-play teams, and then at the end of the video we're going to be going through my personal teams. So again, if you want to check my teams, you can check the timeline of the video to skip towards that particular team. But honestly, these free-to-play teams, they're not really as good as what previous Kizuna Clash free-to-play teams are. This specific Kizuna Clash is actually a little bit gimmicky. There's lots of like really annoying things that you have to take into consideration, especially against the PSY Variation. That can be very tricky for a lot of people, and also because a lot of the boosted units are like Dex and also INT characters, this one against the INT Variation might be a little bit tricky as well. If you've got some of the more really powerful PSY Sugo Fest exclusive characters like Shanks Crew, Mihawk Perona, V3 Law, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to clear this particular event. Also, the thing about it as well is that on stage 3, the final boss against KOALA, she has a preemptive attack where she's going to bind one character on your crew for 8 turns. So having multiple characters that can reduce 5 turns of bind makes it basically able for you to clear this event a lot easier, but in order for you to get more damage, it's better not to do that. So sometimes if you get a character that you don't want binded, then you'll have to reset the app in order for the preemptive attack to select a new character to bind. I did actually do it a few times with this team, but it kept binding my middle row for some reason, so all my bind reducers were they just keep getting binded. But either way, this was only level 1, so it really wasn't too difficult. But like specifically, if you want to use a team like this, I don't know why you would be, but if you want to use a team like that, you have to be very, very careful as to which character is getting binded. Also, 5 turns of attack down is inflicted to your team as well. Again, very, very annoying, and also removes beneficial effects, so you can't like bring different buffs into this room because they're just going to be removed. The next variation is the quick variation. So for this one, actually the exact same preemptive attack on stage 1 with the quick and PSY variation, quick and INT variation, mind you, and that is that you want to be building a team predominantly of striker, free spirit, and cerebral characters, because those are the characters that get cooldown reduction for the first and second variation. The third variation after this team is slightly different on stage 1, and then you've got Karasu on stage 2, who's got 5 turns of Rainbow Shield. So in this team example, we are using the Fortnite Ivankov, not the one that's for the Kizuna Clash, but a different Ivankov. This one's very interesting because it removes 3 turns of Rainbow Shield, so essentially we just tank 2 hits, then we go ahead and use her special, or his or her special, and Ivankov also will boost the attack of cerebral characters by 1.75 times, as well as removing 3 turns of % damage reduction. Like a really good free-to-play unit, honestly. And then the final boss stage, of course, is KOALA. KOALA, with this specific one, you have a different thing you have to deal with this time. So in this variation, you have enemy defense up, so it's 4 turns of blue shield, and you're also given a 4-turn chain lock, which is where that Raid Crocodile, the Dex one, is very, very good for, because he removes that chain lock and then applies like a chain buff to your team as long as your captain is either striker or cerebral. And in this variation, I am using the Rebecca Viola as a captain because they're actually boosted for this event. They're a chain locker themselves, but that doesn't matter too much. When they're in their dual form, they're a really good free-to-play captain. And then, of course, we're using Nami and Robin as a friend captain because she is also boosted for this event, and being such a significant orb booster really does make a big difference having that. So with all these characters in tow, especially with the treasure map Sabo for a self-proccing conditional boost as well, Raid Bonnie for some matching slots, she also reduces the or gets rid of the blue shield buff. You can actually use the Sabo to reduce defense as well, but the problem there is that Sabo only reduces defense by 80%, not 100%. And here is the final variation against the PSY boss. With this one on stage 1, you are getting cooldown reduction for Dex, PSY, and INT characters. So mainly you want to be building an INT team to have the most type advantage here. Now this one, in my opinion, is going to be the most tricky for a lot of people to kind of like build a team around, because on stage 2 you have Morley, who will give you a chain coefficient reduction, and he'll also do death damage. Now, I'm not really 100% sure how much death damage it is, but it's anywhere between like 20 to 25,000 damage he's going to deal to you when he dies. So what I would suggest is to bring some sort of way to mitigate some of that damage, because you want to make sure you're above 50% health when you leave this stage against Morley. Because what happens is if you're below 50% and you reach the final stage, you're actually inflicted with an additional debuff. So you have to be very careful. You'll actually see it in one of the teams that I'll be using in my personal teams, and how we get around that. But you'll actually be given the slot barrier debuff, where like your orbs are emptied and then they're locked, so you have to hit a perfect in order to unlock your orb. Very, very annoying, but there are ways around it, as you guys will see with my personal team. So yeah, in this example, we are using the Raid Barto to heal us back to full, essentially, and also block a lot of that damage. So there's no way that we're going to be below 50% when we reach the final stage. One of the boosted characters that reduces damage is actually 6+ Robin. That is actually a pretty good character to use. So you can see that with the preemptive, immunity buff, paralysis, and also so your slots are empty. And then after turn 1, they'll empty your slots again and remove your beneficial effects. And there is an interrupt here. Do not use a color affinity special because it will get completely removed. So you have to be very, very careful, right? So you have to bring like Legend Pudding, for example, to use her special to store a color affinity boost earlier on and then use it here. Or you could use like a switch effect like Sabo KOALA switch effect can give you color affinity. That is also a way around it too. But yeah, a relatively tricky dungeon for, I'd say, a lot of players to get around effectively. And now moving on to my personal teams. This is my team that I have right now against the INT Variation. So remember that on the final stage, this is the one where one of your characters is just randomly binded for 8 turns. So with sockets, it goes down to 5 turns. And then on this team, I've got Corazon support and also Neko Mamashi support attached to Chopper, so that it'll only go down to a 1-turn bind. So hypothetically, if Chopper is binded, we could literally stall 1 turn. And then after turn 1, you're inflicted with Despair. And Chopper also removes Despair. So even after stalling 1 turn, it's not going to be a big problem. The only problem I can see is we are actually taking a lot of damage, which means that Law is not going to be at full HP. So, you know, as time goes on, definitely you want Chopper to be the one that gets not binded, so you can unbind the other characters on your crew, of course. We are also using Hina for color affinity. We're using the attack boost of V2 Kuzan, and then obviously the switch effect and the special of Mihawk and Perona to grant us the self-procking 2x attack conditional boost, which is pretty good. Now, there is something that I am thinking about as well, is that as stages progress, I'm considering taking out that Ivankov and putting in Rare Recruit Kami, who has a double special activation which can actually give us a self-procking conditional boost. And then instead of running Mihawk and Perona as the friend captain, I'm going to be running double Trafalgar Law, which would mean that we actually get a lot more damage that way. Well, it's not a lot more damage, but I'm pretty sure it is a little bit more damage by doing it that way. But in this team example here, with the team that we have here, we get, you know, the extra bonus of the 1.1 times tickets, which is good. Obviously, if you got friend captains that have Bello Betty from the Sugo Fest, you can use her as well. She's a Psy captain, and that will enable you to get additional tickets that way as well. So there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. But if you got Shank's crew, you can use like a combination of like Shank's crew, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, like the really powerful Psy legends, Shank's crew, Mihawk, Perona, V3 Law are going to be like your best options, I would say, for this fight in particular. So the next variation is against the quick one with my personal team. Now this time around I'm using my own Nami and Robin as a captain because they're boosted in this event, so I want to make sure I can attach a support to them so they get even more stats. Now I'm actually using a Vivi Rebecca friend captain. This might be one of the first times I've actually ever used them as a captain. They're actually just really good because we wanted some type of special ability that could remove the enemy's increased defense, and they just made the most sense because they also do that as well as give us the color affinity. So like they're absolutely perfect for this team. Alvida's really nice because we can use her special to remove the Rainbow Shield on stage 2 against Karasu here, which is the only reason she's on the team. And she's also boosted, so Alvida actually does just like way more damage. Then we've got Croc to remove that chain debuff that we're going to be inflicted with on stage 3. We've also got Shanks, V2 Shanks, who will enable us to get a 2.25 times attack boost and a full border matching orbs, a chain boost. And remember, Shanks' chain boost actually works with the Crocodile chain locking effect because it's like a base chain boost that what Crocodile does. So chain boosts actually work with Crocodile's buff, which actually gives you like a way higher chain than what you would normally get with a normal chain boost or a normal chain lock. So that combination is actually really deadly. And then of course we do have Sabo for the self-procking conditional boost. This is a lot of damage, and I'm sure this is going to be working for a pretty good amount of time. I don't really know if I'm going to be switching this team out. I mean, I probably will at some point. I'm sure someone has a way higher damage team. But at this current point in time, this is going to be working for a solid while in this Kizuna clash. And now the final clip of the video is utilizing V3 Katakuri Super Type Katakuri against the PSY Variation. Now this is the one where I mentioned, you know, this takes a little bit of calculation because the way that this team works is we are hoping that the death damage from Morley is going to get us below 30%, but we also have to make sure that it doesn't kill us. So it's extremely finicky, trying to ensure that the death damage is enough to get us below that threshold so that we can activate the super type special. And essentially, if we kill Morley and he doesn't get us below 30%, then this team is not going to do anywhere near as much damage as what it's able to do. It's just going to be a big deal if that doesn't happen. Now, you do get a couple of turns to take him down, obviously, before you have to move on. So he actually does a pretty decent amount of damage to us, so we can actually tank a few hits. Honestly, what I would do is tank a second hit, and then I would kill him. Now, the thing here is I'm using the Magellan special, and then I'm using the Pudding special, so I can store that 2x color affinity boost for later on in the fight. And then, because we only need one of the Katakuri specials in this fight, I can use an additional one here, just to ensure that, like, this guy goes down this turn, even though with the normal attacks it would have been fine. We would have killed him that turn anyways. So yeah, as I said, you know, Morley's going to do damage. It gets us below 30%, which is great, which is exactly what we want. But remember, when we enter this fight and we are below 50%, we get inflicted with that additional debuff, where our slots are not only empty, but they're also locked. So we have to hit a perfect in order to unbind those slots so that we can actually use them. So you can see with the Sailor effect of Nami and Robin, and then the support effect of Bato, we can actually get rid of the paralysis. The super type of Katakuri can delay them so we don't take too much damage in that turn. And then in the following turn, after hitting all of our perfects to unlock our orbs, then we can launch all of our specials and take down KOALA. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.